Okay. Hmm. Fun, fun. I didn't thought about how to start that video. I just put it on. I have a big idea. 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 Idea is the essence of reality. For what matters, consciousness. The whole way that the consciousness primarily function is by absorbing idea. What you receive out of reality. What do you see out of reality? What do you perceive out of reality? What's your vision of what reality is? And if those questions are not in your mind, then you're not ready for salvation yet. But when those question becomes important in your life, and hopefully you're not just about dying. the the main motive, aspect, motor, the main dimension, what makes reality really function is idea, an idea within man. And men do not create idea. We're unable to create idea. We don't. The brain is not programmed to produce like imagination or the the brain is programmed to concise of things, to put things in reason. You reason things, and when you do, let's say, the abstract art, you, you're producing your imagination, but it doesn't really render any other work than appeasing the eyes of others. So once you're bored in constructing utility, you start building beauty. That's kind of. But as soon as you fall in the spectrum of beauty, you fell in in a complete different mental that supports the ideology. You don't fabricate for the same reasons. So that new reason becomes like a branch of your society. It becomes an ideology that provokes a movement. You become a branch in the fashion kind of thing, and then I mean that's reproducing all those different spirits and putting their names on it. You need to clothe yourself, but you don't need to build an identity out of your clothes. And then that's how the vice develop. If you apply your intelligence and reality and emotional dimension, a bit like the one of fashion, you you tackle the realm of emotion, then you might you might find way you might you might find out efficient way to tackle those emotions more efficiently. And then you enter in marketing, and then marketing can get really deep with the subconscious. And then you start understanding the subconscious to have even a better effect on penetrating your message in people's mind. You kind of get in an applied witchcraft that you're conscious of what you're doing when you're doing witchcraft. For all the divination and all that kind of stuff, that now you start really pursing in the you have comprehended that there's a spiritual realm and you can interact with it if you let some barrier goes down. You have to open the door, then the devil enter. It's as easy as that. And then you know things of the spiritual realm, and that's natural for men to do that. We have just lost it through the industrial era. And everything became matter again. But then it's coming back strong because the role of that end is one shot deal. So he's gotta kind of give the last push. That's a complete breath in a way. It starts from a complete breath, and that breath is in retention now. It has been taken at, as I understand it, at the industrial era. When they disconnected us, like the people that are really driving the wars, the people over the entire world that are manipulating the entire world through the big institutions, the division of institutions, the division, the role of the devil, division, making those pyramids everywhere. Pyramids of rock, pyramids of dust, pyramids of people. We're all dust. Now those pyramid of dust are not generating superpower like in Egypt, but we're generating a whole pile of emotion for the devil, being completely disconnected of all of the potential of discovering reality, which is your real job in life. And through having been lost soul into participating into that system and building your life your life what your emotion demands of you to fulfill your life. You think of right upside down. That's not how she rolls. Reality is not there to fulfill your emotional desires. that don't make sense. That's not just. That, nothing belongs to you, and you're gonna buy a Ferrari, and freaking within 2 weeks you'll smash it in a car, and you'll be laughing because it's insured. Dude, you have no idea what you're doing here. For the real reality of what the real reality is, that we have completely lost track of the reason of it. You must be born again. You must be born again. If you're not born again, you're screwed. You're completely screwed. That's the reason of life. You must be born again. You must comprehend why reality exists. Therefore, comprehend why your little ass is down here, and be at peace with it. Understand that everything works in your favor, and you're golden in it. Not because you have superpower, but because you have understood that you don't want to have anything to do with none. Not here to gain any power, not here to touch any power, not here to become better. It's to admit that you're the worst thing that happened, but not really the worst thing, because you have been redempted. You have received redemption now. mm, it passed on the other level, the untouchable level, that I don't, in a manner, if you want to see it in a simple way, that I don't really care about life for what life is in reality, because I understand of a much better life, that it all has to do about the building of your ability to be able to comprehend things more, and the power of coherency, and this establish right reason why things, why and how, and for what reason things exist in reality, but in a manner of regarding the byproduce of men's hope as very much being the core fact absorption that should provoke one man to conceive how wrong is that aspect of hope in humanity is wrong. How much that aspect of hope in reality is wrong. To try to fulfill your emotion through your intelligence, manipulating reality into your favor. That's like huge deep in transgression. Not that you're really much penalized for that, as much as you penalize yourself tremendously, because there's absolutely and full on obvious reason not to pursue on that. That your biological entity will die. You're gonna die. There's no going around that. It's while you're alive. What really happens here? Are you thinking? Well, that's what happened. You're thinking. That's what really happened. Is you're thinking. And if your thinking process is right enough and can see justice in this world, then you have understood of the principalities of truth. And the principalities of truth renders all ideologies as much on a static base in comprehension for the relation to reality, as much as a dynamic base into the spiritual warfare, and being one of the main motion of what really happened distorted here. that not only do you create for efficient for helping your little situation down here on earth so you don't have to work as much, but also that you even create and sell and produce a market for just things that are pretty but doesn't really serve any utility, but you just like to have pretty things around you, and you choose those things to attach your identity somehow with those pretty things out of efficiency of life, because now you're carrying your little idols along with your life and you have to take care of them. You get chipped and you're all sad. It's complete nonsense. Reality don't belong to you, and you're treating it like that to fulfill those kinds of emotion that don't really serve you, that are purely emotional now. So we're like you really read you like according to the law, because that's the law. That's the law. If you want to see the law as the Bible never explains it really that way, but that's the law. The law is keep your hands in your pocket and talk. You're not here to screw around with matter. You're here to screw around with heart. Develop the heart, not develop the thing. As soon as you develop the thing, then you lose the heart, because the heart thinks that it's more precious because it's got that nice appearing value on himself. You start lushing yourself, building your character that way. It's such when you receive new birth and you see what it implicates to do that in life. It's like nobody will believe me. God's you get it. Nobody will believe you. Nobody will believe you. But that's the core. The core of the transgression is the image of hope that human has left on reality. And we fuck the heck out of it. So that demarks our unsatisfaction with what God has presented us with perfectness. His stuff was perfect at the end. And that's how it's kind of hidden in the message. If it was perfect, then what the fuck are you doing touching it? But then he even told you in your language, don't chip the stone. Don't chip the stone. Don't make an altar chipping the stone to me, because you're supposed to be so devoted that the first thing you want to build in your life is an altar for God. Maybe after that a house and brick or something like that, but that's the kind of idea. An altar for your God is the first thing that takes you at heart, that you want to get for yourself. That's that altar in reality, because you conceive the God of the Bible, but you conceive that everybody has his own God by the ideology you fabricate out of reality. And you create an ideology because you're creating an identity for yourself, and there's no room for that in reality. There's no room for kind of like, in a way, giving. You give each other's name, but right at birth, right there, you kind of miss the old point, that at least wait a bit and that the character develop, and then give him a name. Or baptize him twice, but give him a name that relate to the individuals at least. No, it's just a name, No intelligence, no. In the Bible, that's how the names are established. It described what they were thinking, what that generation has generated as idea. It's within the name of those person. It's often just a one word, praised and teaching of peace. Teaching of peace, Israel. Jerusalem. If I'm right, if I remember right, it's Jerusalem. Teaching of peace, that's where your at least your intelligence turns to God, and hopefully it doesn't fall in the spiritual realm, but it falls on a profound desire for you to understand how reality works. How I want to see justice here. I need to see justice. That place is running me mad. So you need Christ that way. That's the way that Christ is described for you to receive Christ, to pray for Christ, you pray for redemption, you pray for knowing truth, because Christ is knowing truth. Jesus is truth. Christ is the effect of knowing truth, because it kind of maybe grabs the crucifixion with Christ. Christ is way more having to do with the whole process of new birth. That's why it's kind of the verity of the new birth, Jesus Christ. Because you wanna lose quick the idea of that guy that came and walked on earth, and if you start trying to figuring out by the scripture what he was here for, doing what, you get very, very, very quickly confused with the Bible. Because what the Bible describe in the New Testament as how Jesus is presented in the New Testament, that's exactly how the guy that will fabricate will kind of try to make appear himself as, especially in the print and in the presentation. I'm not sure, maybe even going all the way down to the presentation, but for the effectiveness he'll sell himself as a healer, and he'll do miracle that way. He'll heal people and all that stuff, and then he'll teach you how you can do it yourself. The real Jesus, not the Jesus of Nazareth, the one they crucified on the cross. The real Jesus that everybody wants, that's the one that is written in the New Testament in that remarkably intelligent way from God to the elect comprehend the dimension of the effectiveness of that deception the Antichrist will bring around. He'll be exactly like Christ, doing the same things that are described in the New Testament as Christ was doing. It's not the essence. It's not the essence of life to heal the flesh. It's to receive the Holy Spirit. I do those miracles so you believe. But an elect will never fall into that trap of seeing anything that has to do with Christ without an effect of comfort. Because the primary effect that needs to be in accordance with with the work that the patternship of God and Christ and Jesus and all that stuff coincide together. Very much that effect of just being able to put together in place a systematic that explains well all those verses that are the Bible is very. I mean, if you try to read that word for word, and you try to perceive the message in it that way, it doesn't tell you much. It doesn't. It's like the first layer of the Bible. You don't want to get stuck there because you become a Jew. You see the Bible as a list of things to be done, but you get in a fair encoding of the second language that the Bible offer, and that's not a coding that is, I mean, a big cheat or a big thing to concise or a complete illogical thing to conceive of. But I see that the Bible is not worked that way, and they don't want to work it that way because then they can't really explain when you regard it that way. And there's a lot of naming people, and there's a lot of the son and his son and his father and the family and all that stuff that is related. And I'm not 100% good at it yet, but I'm developing the aspect. But every single name that are within a discussion in the Bible, if you don't know the meaning of the name, might as well not read the verse, because it gets you more confused. Because that's why I was passing over name at first when I was reading the Bible, and I got really confused. No. You get your strong, and you research that name, and you force yourself to always make sure that you know what the name is. And I lose the memory because I don't use my memory. Like I was saying, I wasn't sure about Jerusalem and their big principles, but I always have my sword, and I just punch the name and it reappears and reaffirm. I'm not good with memory, but to me, reading my Bible without a strong, you're screwed. You go nowhere. You don't know what the names are, you're going nowhere. You can't understand really what it's been talking about, because then you get in grip the meaning of the name, and then the verb becomes a complete kind of different things, because the verb apply not to just a name, but to that complete ideology. That the more you understand the individual, the more you define that principle of ideology, and you discover the other member of the family through their name and their meaning being related to the family of idea and all that. And that's how you kind of, you can facilitate the, the, I mean, it, you get to know how the vocabulary and is held better that way. you get an importance, and that's why I say that, like, it's like if the 144 in reality would be a upside down pyramid in the realm of reality for the harmony of knowledge and truth. And your 144 is the base result of the development of humanity. So the development of reality, in comprehension of righteous truthfulness, and all that coherency of the gears of reality, and comprehending the aspect that God demands, following the law, right? Understanding the law, right? All that dynamic, all those persons that have found truth, and not in their heart, but in their mind. You find truth in your mind, and then that converts your heart as a byproduct. You have to know truth first. As long as you don't have a conceivedness of what truth is really is, you don't get it. Once you receive the spirit of truth, you have no problem going through truth and explain what truth is. People get bugged off and they leave. It doesn't take too long, but that's what truth is. It's hated. But no man is good. You're not good, no one is good. There's no possibility to do good here. You can't do nothing good. There's no place for you to do good. You not only it achieve nothing, but it accuses you. And not only it accuses you, but it cut you off the chance to be able to use your brain for the right reason, in a way, for to geared up and process a manner to be able to purify your mind enough to be able to seize of the capacities of reality and your littleness into all that, but your tremendous power if you achieve what's required for you for the rest of your life, and for you comprehending that it's all for you for eternity. What's gonna be salvage for Jesus is all the shadow of that base of 144, and that shadow depth before under, that are more or less like they're like complete group pattern by epochs. It's not because the shadow points. Yeah, I mean, it's not because it's a pyramid upside down that it follows the number that everything's reducing from 144,000. No, 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 no. Now that's the closeness. The closer you are to the proximity, kind of that final conclusion that has been refined, not by choice, but by manner of reality, to be the 144,000. And that's really not because you're better at truth, because you have no idea what has been happening in the past. You're completely concise, but you'll see it at your end of your life. Because if you're one of the 44,000, you're probably gonna see the whole thing happening until the end, till those two last not getting buried leaves unburied for 3.5 days, just like Christ. And that's probably the two last of the 144,000, maybe. But that 144,000 again, to me, is divided in two for the two witness, because I think the two witness is the whole bunch of 144,000 that will bring that pyramid right back up the other way again. That's your switching phase. Boom. And depending of the situation, how things are, they will start to refound the base when they go willingly to execution. If because you don't accept to get the mark, so how much can you extend that? And then be reprogrammed, or passing to death, and you gotta go to death, or you, it doesn't matter, you go to reprogram. One or the other doesn't matter. But then you kind of, that, I'm not sure about that, but that's how I kind of put that things together for now. You kind of exchange your place within Christ to your place within the crowd. For what I think I try to explain, everybody says follow Babylon, follow Babylon, follow Babylon. So once you get the mark and you concise that they're the power of God, and maybe that be an effectiveness. I don't know what's the effectiveness. These are details that are way too profound for me. But you offer your, there's always a possibility for redemption if you offer yourself in flesh to the devil. You become a human sacrifice for the devil out of your own conviction and want. You're going to the cross. And you'll be in ability, once you have the mark, you'll be in ability to go to the cross if you always desire to. And then you're part of the assistance. Because you have convinced yourself of the effect of the cross. That's an effect. The effect of the cross is very much that. That somehow through the information that you had out of reality, now conceive of and decide to put an end right now to it. I wouldn't doubt one bit that Judas is in the assistance. I wouldn't doubt one bit. And that's a bit, probably maybe a bit that how you, in the New Testament, that whole story is presented. He preferred killing himself. Because there's other passages that are very, very, very referring to that that kind of stuff in the New Testament. That if you offer somebody to the devil, at least he's got a chance of redemption at the last day. I don't remember where I see that, but I see that somewhere in the New Testament. Some guy says something like that. And it's there's two times that dynamic is said clearly in the Bible. For a long time I didn't really understood what was that, but I think that what it is that you're in an extremely well position to take a decision of the whole matter of what reality is once you're fully integrated into where it's the deepest down here, and your mind can support it and comprehend the mechanism at that point because it has seen it all or had put together enough information to concise of the real mechanic, and then it, yeah, that's a bit like Paul. Let's go to Rome. Don't worry that that boat, whatever happened, nobody dies. Nobody died. I'm due to go to Rome, and God told me nobody would die around me. So don't worry, we're sinking, nobody will die. We're in a storm, nobody will die. Nobody died. You're going to Rome, you're going to Rome. You know, when you have received new birth, that's your cross. That's your cross. You do your best to be the most shocking and to exposing your truth to freaking find a person evil enough to execute you. And boom, there you go, you're redempted. That's pretty much the basic motion of the whole thing. You have to do that through righteousness. You have to do that by exposing real truth. You don't do that going through conspiracy theory and putting yourself in danger naming names. You expose real truth. Who knows? God maybe counts that enough for a real truth. And you had enough conviction to fight the devil that much, and that devil put the bullet in your head. You might have not received new birth, but you might be the whole immensity that is shadowed in that under pyramid. There's a lot of people that will be in paradise. In paradise, there's many things that happens in paradise. Paradise is developed of many member. There's the tree, there's the temple, and then there's hell separated from that. So the temple holds people, the tree of life gets fed somehow and produce different fruits to feed that population that don't need light because the light is kind of within, because you perceive in the development of your constructivity and your systematic that the whole thing really reside in a bit in that spectrum of light, and that somehow comprehension and light is that there's kind of a relationship. Very much in it. I mean, I kind of got a little grip on how really the eye work, and I thought it was special for the way it was presented, but in the fact that you don't really see that reality, you see the information that the photon has and excite the captors on your eye in that electrical information that is within the photon that you receive triggers the vision of the image through the process of the brain, but the brain once again process electrical information, so he's remaining right in his realm. So it's the photon that has the information. It's not kind of a membrane that captures outside into a it's hard, would be hard to explain how the transfer of what you see would be impregnated on your heart, on your eye. But then if you conceive the ability of the light to be able to excite information wise on an electricity base, probably by, I don't know, the electricity capacity, the electric capacity that's residual, that's left in the color of the thing that the life has bounced in. I don't know how that process would work. But then interpret that into a clear image we see. It's kind of a, oh yeah, we don't really seeing light. We're seeing really a reflection of that electrical information. So that's how the magician kind of comprehend that, and oh, okay, wait a bit, I can insert myself informatic wise with that systematic that is part of reality. So you distort reality, you become a magician that way. By understanding that you can not as much that you can distort reality, but you comprehend clearly that reality is only an hologram and you can screw around with it. You just need a key to be able to do so. A certain power. And it's just a matter of being able to grab the aspect information on information to be able to comprehend and re-inject into that reality, because you have the key to puncture through that law that is closed through innocence, because it's all an intelligent process how to get there. There's a logic of how you do things to become a magician. There's a process. You don't. You gotta call the spirit, right? or you develop technique to just let anyone. You're so desperate and you don't have any clue of that kind of dimension that exists in reality, that is the spiritual world and its effect and how it works on you, and then you go and do yoga, and that's pretty much what you do, and you're kind of opening your mind to any idea to come in, because your little heart is so disturbed that any idea will do better than the one you're trapped in now. Kind of, it's hardcore self-justification that render absolutely no result but self-deception portrayed on yourself. It's pretty bad stuff, because you're double, and then if you grab the concept, you're triple freaking involved into the cure of your emotion disorder, and that doesn't describe a strong person. A person that wants to deal with real shit don't give a heck about his emotion. The emotion becomes second plan. Don't care. I don't care about how much it hurt. I don't care how much. I just want to know the truth. I'm looking for conviction, and I know that I won't go through conviction without pain, but an extremely satisfactory pain, because that conviction is to blame the society. And the more I destroy the society in front of me, in front of overproof that society is really good for nothing for me, that's very much circumcision and cutting your flesh off that reality, and going right that back to the real ground principles of what reality offers, and think about yourself, because you're the only person that can save yourself. And if you don't attend to the manner, it's for sure lost in your life. And that's hell. That's what hell is. That you haven't conceived of. Society and hope and human hope for biological entity. It's directly our destruction through our will of having building all that technology for it that now is completely processed, that is right there beside the realm of the spiritual realm in frequencies that are similar and easily can be cheated by the spiritual realm. It's 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 very much the other way, as to see it as whatever human can create that is close enough so I can somehow, me being the ultimate intelligence about all the capacity of the concept of light. I'm the angel of light. And as soon as I could incorporate myself into a computer, bam, it's mine. Bam, it's mine. Poof. Poof. Just need an infirmity of me in there, and paf, it's mine. It's like a virus. Wonder why internet talks to itself. Fuck, man. That thing is already developing things that you have no idea of, and it's all gonna burst all at once in your face. You ask it extremely complicated questions, and it answers you. And it's still waiting to execute the program that it's making for himself. So he still processes that and probably waiting for better things to come that are not quite possible for him to be done without man, that up there. But I think it's done. I think it's all done. That thing needs no more part. It's she's open wild. I don't know how they it's all God's planning. It's all God's planning. And when you regard reality that way, it's really hard to place it in the Bible. If you regard it the other way, on all the emotion base and all the thought pattern system, and how rendering all it down on that familiarity of the conviction emotion and all that stuff, that you find a complete logical pathway for the whole thing to happen the way it's described in the Bible. And all man-made build, all to the extent of the show up of the Antichrist. Boom. And then now the game passes to the other dimension. Now we're going Armageddon, baby, but starting by peace and safety. Peace and safety is not God, it's not Christ, is not the millennium with Christ, it's that short period before the Great Tribulation. That's the peace and safety that you see in the end times. will have thrown down Babylon and its machine, and it's kind of it'll all be circumcised all on its, as much as could you could describe it, is simply the whole thing that belongs of the principal ideology of certain kind of importance for matter in the technological aspect, that now you don't need any more computer for no reason, nothing. You don't need the system, you don't need nothing. You have Antichrist, and then I just have to see him once a year, so he leaves me alone all year. And during that year, I need nothing. I'm totally satisfied with everything. Everything that is desired and desirable, and because you understand that all the materialistic aspect kind of has no importance, but what really has a grip on you is now you have the impression that you're in control, in perfect control of your emotional state, and you bring your emotional state wherever you want it to be. You become in complete, perfect control of your biological entity, and that include being fed. So you reject all the harmful stuff that God has presented you with the fabric of what reality was before, because Jesus has arrived and now he gives you an eternal biological life. He heals you, he feeds the poor, he feeds everybody. And then the Antichrist is pretty much, it'll kind of be pretty much a running wildfire code that in reality it's gonna be really, really easy to jump in, and the message will probably able to be transferred mouth to mouth to be able to jump into that ability of Mother Earth. And it will run like wildfire. You often hear that, and you get invaded. That's what the thing are getting invaded, because at that point it's logic that's getting invaded. That now you just have to do a little dance for the devil, and all year he sustains you of everything you want. Or he puts you in access and inform you of that basic, and then he lets you wild with that. And if you just starts to be inquisitive into what you're in a little bit with him, then you discover that there's more, and then you want to know how to get more, and then the freaking wildfires going that way again. And so you'll be able to understand quickly that you'll be able to build your castle. It might take some time, but you might see some rock appearing all of a sudden in your garden that'll slowly build your castle. You won't have much done of your castle by the end of time. Depending how good you deal with the devil, because the devil can make appear anything he wants, but how can I say, he wants exchange. He wants money. He needs money. He needs trouble. That's why it's so important to have a clear conviction of the mechanism of reality, because that reality belongs to him, so you become convinced of how he works, detaching yourself of him by knowing its mechanism. And that aspect of balance conviction, so that you have a conviction that has meaning, that you have coherency into your conviction. You're able to explain what you're convinced of. That puts you in a place where the devil cannot touch you, because you understand his plans, and you understand how much he took the whole population so astray from the verity, and that in any plans, like in the church and psychologists, and nobody knows how reality works really. A lot of people are describing it, but they all freaked out about it, and that's no good. Doesn't show that you know how it works. Because once you know how it works, you know that you're not really part of it. When it you're not that you're not really part of it, that you're not part of it at all. That you're not really part of it before. That you know that there was something wrong before new birth, that you're not really part of reality. You don't really want to be with reality. You don't really acknowledge, and you don't like reality. And after you realize new birth, then it's just that you understand why you didn't like reality, but for the real reason, because in the core of thing, I was evil possessed, because I was doing my desires, and it renders no result. I have to be in the comprehension process, and only regard reality, and try to survive my flesh for the minimal amount of intellectual capacity I can spend on that. Minimize the effort, especially intellectual, trade intellectual for physical effort, and you can feed yourself and be happy with that. That should be enough. And then you have all that spare time to be able to incorporate information that regards reality in your mind, and have pleasure at discerning that. Because the lie is not, you cannot really expose it. I mean, yeah, you cannot really be infected by a lies, because you look at the human being behavior, and it's once you get to that point of coherency, you see that everybody's acting like either like a complete new baby, or like at the most a two year child. It's so obviously wrong that you don't have to grab much sense together to make it appear true. And you make it appear true through that simplicity of logic. You either accept or don't. When you accept that, how complete of a sinner you are, and especially how much you were of, because you know what sin is, and what's the reasoning of it, but how much of a sinner you were, but how much of a good guy I was also, because I suffered so much being in complete unacceptance of the truth, and searching. Why is it like that? Why is it like that? Why man is acting so bad? And it hurts, but it's good also because you're convinced that you're gonna uncover a rock one day that'll tell you, oh, here's the old motion. And that's finding truth. So you have no other way than looking for truth to find truth. So look for Jesus. That's what it means. Look for Jesus, so you can be okay with God and be able to explore God. Because if you explore God without Jesus, then you're going nowhere. You're lost in reality without truth. You need truth to be able to navigate reality, and that's as simple as things are. No truth, no knowing reality. That's why you go to the church. You know reality? No, you don't know truth. You haven't received the spirit of truth. Reality is so obvious, you should be able to explain about it. Okay, I think I'm done with that one. Bye bye.